Good evening, everybody. I'm about to start the planning meeting. Evening, members and members of the public. We start off the time-honoured way, and I welcome everybody to South Staff's Planning Committee. And can I introduce the top table? I'm the chairman of the Planning Committee, Councillor Bob Cope, and to my right is
Vice Chairman, Councillor Robert Duncan.
Hardip Sharma, Planning Solicitor. Helen Bembo, Development Management Team Manager.
Kelly Harris, Lead Planning Manager.
And that's all we've got tonight by the looks. Okay. So we therefore move on to the public session, part one. Item one on the agenda is the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes? If so, can you show that you approve them? Thank you. Item two, apologies. I've only been informed of one, and that's Councillor Wendy Sutton. Is there any more apologies from the floor? No. Okay. Item three, declarations of interest. Have we any declarations? No. Ah, sorry. Councillor.
Yes, sorry, Chair. Land at Littlewood Farm. My husband is Councillor Andrew Adams, who's made an objection, I think, on portal. Now, we tend not to discuss this, so I don't even know what he said. And I am my own independent person, and I'll make a decision at the end of this discussion.
Thank you for declaring that. Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not certain of this, but on the application for Wharf Lane in Brood, I am a member of the congregation of the Catholic Church there. They're not involved, I don't think, at all in, but I just wanted to make that clear. But I don't have a vested interest.
That's fine. That seems quite remote to me, so I have no issue with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we therefore move to item 4, which is determination of the planning applications. The first one on our list is 25/00742/FUL, and this is land at Wharf Lane, Brood. And it's over to Ellen, who's going to outline the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The application seeks planning permission for the erection of 4 bungalows. The site lies outside of the development boundary of Brood and is located within the West Midlands Greenbelt. The council can currently only demonstrate a 0.87-year housing land supply, and as such the tilted balance is in effect for applications proposed for new dwellings. The tilted balance sets out the new dwellings should only be refused where there is a significant reason to justify a refusal. Following assessment, the site is considered to be grey belt in line with the criteria listed in paragraph 155 of the NPPF. The proposed development is therefore considered to constitute an appropriate form of development in the green belt and results in no material harm to the street scene. There is an existing vehicle access to the site and parking provision is sufficient, and there is a condition to secure cycle parking on site. There are no undue concerns raised in respect of residential or occupier amenity, ecology, biodiversity, or arboriculture. The site is located adjacent to the canal, and the Canals and Rivers Trust have raised no objections subject to a robust suite of conditions. And the Council's Conservation Officer has raised no objection to the proposal. Just show members some slides here. So this is the application site that you can see. So the red kind of triangle piece of land to the north is where the bungalows would be located, and to the south you can see the access drive along Wharf Lane, and it connects there with the Kiddamore Green Road to the south. This slide then shows the layout of the 4 bungalows located in a cluster to the southern part of the site, and then the parking to the front of those bungalows, and then the existing access is utilised as currently displayed there. And then we have 3 different house types on here. As noted, they are all bungalows. So these are the elevations for units 2 and 3. And this is the elevation for Unit 1 at the top and Unit 4 towards the bottom. Just going to go back to the site plan there. So given the council's housing land supply position, the tilted balance in favour of granting permission is engaged unless there is sufficiently strong reasons arising from the impacts of the development to warrant the refusal of the application. The development adds a further 4 dwellings to the land supply, and the proposal is considered compliant with both national and local policy and associated guidance. As such, the recommendation is for approval, subject to conditions and subject to the satisfactory completion of a unilateral undertaking in accordance with relation to the Cannock Chase Special Area of Conservation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ellen. We have one person speaking against this application, which is Mr. Phil Grocott. Could you go to the lectern, please? You have 3 minutes, Mr. Grocott. Thank you.
Thank you. I live at Shaftesbury Cottage, which is the next parcel of land further down Wharf Lane. My land lies lower than the development site and as such suffers from receiving additional water from the development site during excessive wet periods. When we purchased Shaftesbury Cottage 19 years ago, it didn't have the drive that we currently use. The access was via the side track that is compacted hardcore with light grass topping. All previous owners used this daily. Since the previous owner of the development site raised the levels and chopped down the trees, the track running down to the front elevation of our house is unable to take vehicular traffic for 4 months of the year. The development contains a vast area of hard surfaces that rainwater runs off rather than penetrates through and soaks away. This amplifies an existing problem with the site. The land beneath the topsoil is clay. Water doesn't penetrate this very easily, hence the flooding. The cesspool, although beneath ground level, needs considering as a hard surface, as rainwater cannot penetrate it. This would mean the site is covered in approximately 50% of hard surfaces, these being tiled roofs of 4 bungalows, paved paths and access perimeters around each dwelling, tarmac entrance hammerhead, cesspool top, and a further, say, 30% reduced rate drainage surfaces, such as a shared driveway of layered chippings over to ram and hardcore to accommodate traffic to 4 number 3 bred properties. When we add an additional crate soakaways at the top of the site, you can see the additional flooding problem that will be created that will impact the Farmers Field, Shaftesbury Cottage and Wharf Lane road surface. Additional vehicular traffic is perceived to have minimal impact on the road surface that they described as a bridleway, which it isn't. There are only 2 lived-in properties once the road becomes gravel and a seasonal business that doesn't operate boat hire from October till March. 4 additional houses is at least 8 vehicles, which will fill site parking allocation. This will easily double the usage of the lane, so will impact considerably on wear, as will the construction traffic. Questions are, where are visitors supposed to park their cars? Will further hard landscaping be created to accommodate them? Or will they obstruct Wharf Lane? What restrictions will be imposed in this area? Density, I don't dispute that this is a site suitable for development, but one on the right scale with the right type of fewer properties with less hard surfaces, ideally draining back to the main sewer, would be more appropriate. My initial objection raises several additional issues, which I hope you have read. I have got aerial photos of the site that's currently flooded and has been flooded now for 3 months.
You finished now, Mr. Grocott?
I think so, pretty much. As I said, I have got some photos I wanted to distribute, but I know I can't.
No,
It
you've
just
had
goes-
3 minutes now, Mr. Grocott.
Yeah, I have. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, members, we have nobody speaking for this application and we don't have the applicant agent. So it's over to the local member, which is Councillor Holmes.
Chairman, initially I had no objection to this application. I'm a bit concerned about what Mr. Grocott has just advised us of, his opinion. But I still don't think I've got an objection to it. if his problems can be addressed at all. I can't say any more than that really, because I wasn't aware. I'm very familiar with it. I know what it's like down there. Yes. Yes, so.
I'm sure the
Not
other
against the
members,
application.
if any other members have got an opinion on this. Any other speakers, members? Anybody wish to speak? Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Chair. To the officers, I'm just going to ask, the country track, will that be made a proper hard surface with tarmac and drainage? Because the runoff from the development of 4 bungalows could pollute the canal and river trust.
Helen.
Yeah, thank you through you, Chair. You'll see from the report the Canals and Rivers Trust have been quite highly involved in the process, because you're absolutely right, the proximity is quite close, so we need to make sure there's no impact on the drainage elements and also the structural stability given the use of the lane. So there have been a considerable dialogue with the Canals and Rivers Trust, and now subject to quite a lot of conditions actually, they are comfortable with it. So the drainage will be dealt with internally of the site, that's surface water and foul. There's a condition associated with that, and there are some conditions associated with the runoff and the stability of the canal as well, because obviously we want to make sure that that's preserved. But yeah, it's a fair point, but we're comfortable that with no statutory consultee objections and the suite of conditions as recommended, we've got that covered. Thank you, Chair.
Want to come back?
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Helen. My one point is right at the junction, that closeness to the canal part is less than a metre, because it's like a culvert area, isn't it? That is so close near the entrance of the main road there. It's that close to the canal. Can we just make sure that some measure is made sure that there is a protection, that nothing happens with vehicles passing, either heavy goods or anything that could cause an incident?
Yeah, it's a fair point. We've just got to be mindful that that is an existing junction, so that's not new. Obviously, that's been used at the moment for the school and the parking associated with it. But there's 2 elements there. The existing conditions, well, the proposed conditions will cover any of the use of that particular junction, so that's covered. But if there's any damage to any kind of third-party land, for example, or bridges or the canal, then the developer would be liable for that. So through a construction management plan as well, we could monitor that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ashley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've noted here that the Brood Civic Society have objected to this application. Looking at what is actually displayed up there, where is it the church in relation to that triangle where the development is? So where is the church?
For the benefit of the people watching, Ellen, do you want
It's
to?
to the left, is it?
Yeah, so where
Where-
you've got the access onto the main road here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, Councillor Ashley, on
I
the
see.
screen. This is the church here.
Oh, there, the
Yes.
bottom.
That's correct.
Now, does the church itself have any parking? Again,
The rear.
these are very difficult to discern. But they're certainly objecting. But having said that, the development where people will permanently live, perhaps, seems quite a distance from the church itself.
We
Yet
would agree with that, Councillor Ashley, and that's why we've looked at the comments that have been provided by the Civic Society and tried to address those in the report, because whilst they're valid concerns, we don't think it's enough to warrant a refusal of an application given the proximity of the development to the church in particular, and obviously given the context of the site as grey belt. So yeah, you're right in terms of that proximity. Thank you, Chair.
Have you finished, Councillor Ashley?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any more speakers? Councillor Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to come back. If you've got an hour to spare, I can give you a lecture on what's happening there at the moment. It's ruining most of the locals' lives, including mine. We're absolutely sick and tired of the situation there. So presumably they wouldn't be able to start very soon developing it anyway, until that bridge is mended. I wanted to say that, and I also wanted to add just a tiny comment. The primary school isn't grade 2 listed. It's, in fact, it's very sort of 70s, 80s. But there is an old schoolhouse there that is listed. So I want to correct that, and I don't know. Thank you.
We are here just to look at the planning merits of this application. Okay. Right. Any more speakers? Councillor?
So just to clarify, through you, Chair, if you may, there will be, because it is a narrow lane, I'd say, if I recall it right, I think Councillor Holmes will be able to establish this for me. It's about a 5 metre width lane, which is narrow normally, because normal roads are normally 9 metres. Will there be passing by insets put in for vehicles to pass? Because you've also got a business at the other end of there, which is the camping and what's name site down the bottom.
No, there won't be specific passing places put in because the construction management is obviously a temporary issue. The road itself is obviously it is narrow, like you've described, but it's private in terms of the way that it's viewed at by County Council. They have reviewed it in full, given the constraints there. But I think we've got to remember it's 4 dwellings. It's not a big development site. There is a construction management plan. Let me just check the number. Yep, condition number 3 as proposed. So the matters about the bridge and the passing places and the frequency and the times of the construction management traffic will be managed. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to pick up on the flooding, we are experiencing a season where it's extreme, but we did have the benefits of a county councillor who advised us that it would be advisable to have soakaways instead of fast water, I call it, which feeds into whatever is in existence, and that's what the problem is. So I don't know whether it's possible to have a condition where the soakaways are part of that scheme. All they've got to do is dig down beneath that paved seam and put some gravel in.
Yeah, to give you that comfort, Councillor Reid, that condition is already recommended, condition number 7. But as members are aware, when we have sites like this, which are currently greenfield, the runoff from them is often quite high. That is addressed through the drainage strategy that would come forward as part of any development proposals, and condition number 7 catches that for you. Thank you.
Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just concerned, just want to have reassurance really with regard to the structural integrity of the canal that is maintained, because we've already had one disaster, haven't we, in Shropshire, and we wouldn't want to see that again. So that's my concern. If the officers can just go over that for me, please.
Helen. Hello.
I was just looking what number it was. Yes, it is covered because, like I explained to Councillor Kelly, the Canals and Rivers Trust were quite heavily involved in this one, given the proximity. So it's their asset and their issue that they want to make sure that there's no consequential development of any kind of structural issues as a result of the development. So condition number 6 covers that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Councillor Kelly.
Yeah, is there any permitted development rights being removed, or are there any in place?
Yeah, it is on there. We're just checking the number. 17. Condition 17. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that all the speakers now then, members? Councillor Steele.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. Can you put the plan of the proposed plan of the site back up? Because I don't remember seeing any suds or anything. Is it because this isn't a big enough site for that sort of thing?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The drainage strategy would be related to the scale of the development, but condition number 7 asks the details to be submitted to us. So it could be a variety of methods that are used, but you wouldn't see them on the layout the same way we would of the larger scale developments because they don't form part of a public open space facility, for example. So it would be very much down to the developer to submit the drainage strategy to us for approval via the LLFA. But that's the reason you're not seeing them on that plan. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, come back.
It's just that it was a bit of a bolt out of the blue to hear the gentleman talk about land being made up so it's higher now than it used to be. Without a site visit, without photographs, which way does the land, what's the topography like? Do we know? So,
I've got a couple of photos that these might help to give you some context. That's obviously the view north, so from the track looking northwards. And this is the road looking south, so the site is on your right hand side here. You can see the Harris fencing that's been put up, and that's a view of the site itself. So hopefully that gives you a bit of context, but bear in mind it is further north than the built form on Kiddamore Green Road. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, any more speakers? Therefore, I'm going to the vote. The recommendation, members, is for approval. All those in favour, please show. That was unanimous. Okay, that's unanimous, so our application is approved. Thank you. We therefore come to the second application this evening, and this is 25/00817/VAR, and this is land at Littlewood Farm, Dunstan, Coppenhall, South Staffordshire. And again, it's Helen that will outline the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The proposal is for a variation of conditions on a previously approved solar farm at Littlewood Farm in Coppenhall. The site covers approximately 70 hectares of agricultural land located 1 mile southwest of Coppenhall village. Planning permission was granted by appeal in October of 2024 for a temporary solar farm. This application seeks approval for changes to the approved layout, which include the relocation of the substation to the eastern part of the site, introduction of additional internal roads and minor changes to the access point, new point of connection to the existing overhead lines, the removal of some of the solar panels from an area to the eastern part of the development site, east of the existing overhead high voltage electricity cables, and provision of an additional buffer of planting to the northeast corner, and the removal of the northwest southeast aligned ditch, which formerly was required for ecological mitigation and replacement with solar panels. It has also proposed a new condition to secure all of the finer details of the development to accommodate the changing technologies. So the principle of the development has already been established through the original permission. The proposed amendments have been assessed against the core strategy and the MPPF. The LLFA, the highways officers and National Highways have raised no objections. The changes are considered minor in design terms and will not result in additional harm to the character or appearance of the landscape above that of the previous approval. A number of conditions have been updated to reflect the new landscaping scheme which is proposed, which adds additional screening to the properties located to the south of the application site. So this is a photo of the site at present. So you'll note that the development hasn't commenced there. And then this is the currently proposed plan that we will be considering this evening, and the former plan that was approved. So you'll notice that there's a slight change in the internal layout of the road system. And then there's the removal here of this part of the solar array. That's been removed and replaced along here. So there's no increase in the quantum of the solar array. It's the same, it's just a realignment. And on the previous approval, there was a connection point and a substation approved in this arm to the north, and that's now being moved further to the eastern side of the site. Sorry. So in conclusion, the proposed amendments do not alter the original conclusion that the wider benefits of the development are considered to significantly and demonstrably outweigh any adverse impacts of the proposal on the Greenbelt. Various special circumstances are therefore considered to exist. The proposal is considered to comply with the overarching aims of the development plan and the NPPF, and approval is therefore recommended subject to conditions, and they are the conditions as previously imposed, updated and included within the update list. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ellen. We don't have anyone speaking against this application or for it, but we do have the applicant, which is Olivia Glenn. Can you go to the lectern, please? Olivia, you have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. My name is Olivia Glenn, Planning Manager at Elgin Energy, the applicant for this scheme. This application seeks amendments to an already approved solar farm. Members may recall that the original proposal was considered by this committee in September 2023. While it was refused at that time, it was subsequently allowed at appeal in October 2024, establishing the principle of a solar farm on this site. This application does not revisit that principle. It is a Section 73 application seeking amendments to the approved scheme. The main change is the relocation of the substation from the northern part of the site to the eastern side, together with a corresponding rearrangement of infrastructure. As set out in the officer's report, the relocated substation would remain over 300 metres from the nearest residential dwelling, with no conflict with the council's separation distances guidance and no concerns identified in relation to noise. A comprehensive landscaping scheme has also been proposed to ensure that infrastructure is appropriately screened. The amendments also provide additional mitigation and abetment to heritage assets, including an increased buffer to the Grade 2 listed building, the Toft. The supporting technical assessment confirms that the amendments do not result in any material change to the impacts of the consented scheme. No statutory consultees have raised objections, including the LLFA. Your case officer recommends that planning permission be granted. Members are also asked to grant authority for the diversion of Bridleway, Dunstan 13. The acceptability of this diversion has already been established through the appeal decision and is as set out in the officer's report. It represents a procedural step required to implement the approved scheme. Approving these amendments will allow the scheme to be delivered efficiently and bring forward the generation of clean electricity sooner. Approving these amendments, increasing domestic renewable energy, such as solar, strengthens the UK's energy security by reducing reliance on imported fuels and helping protect households from price volatility. Projects such as this help to support a more stable and resilient energy system. The planning inspector has already concluded that the benefits of the development outweigh the identified harms, and the scheme delivers significant public benefits. Your planning officer has carefully assessed the proposed amendments and confirms in the committee report that the principle of development has been established and that the amendments introduce no additional harm in planning terms. Members therefore have a clear professional recommendation before them that the proposal is acceptable in planning terms. For these reasons, in line with that recommendation, we respectfully ask members to grant approval this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Olivia. Spot on time. Well done. Right, we don't have any local members present tonight. Councillor Harper Adams is, Harper Wallace, I've said that before. Harper Wallace is the local member, so he's not here tonight. So therefore it's over to you, members. Do we have any speakers on this application? Councillor Reid.
Thank you. Just pick up on the fact that there's a footpath got to be moved. I know I've experienced moving footpaths before, and it's not a straightforward procedure. So in that report, it looks to me that we're taking over and deciding. Is that right?
Ellen.
No, it's not. Oh, it's fine. The original planning permission agreed the principle of the diversion of the footpath. So it's not being removed or blocked up, it's just being diverted. As a district council, we have to give authority for that to happen. That's a procedural matter, and it's county council that pick up the remit of diversions or blocking up or stopping up of public rights of way. So as a matter of procedure, we need to say that that's acceptable, but the principle of that's already been established through the appeal. So to be clear, it's not being removed or blocked up, it's just being diverted. Thank you, Chair.
Any more speakers? Councillor Evans. Sorry, Councillor Davies.
Yeah, I wanted to mention the same point as Councillor Reid, actually. I noticed that it comes from the County Council Countryside Rights of Way officer, and it is being looked at, is it? Yeah. Because I'm a great advocate of rights of way and preserving as much as possible. But if that's happening, I'm happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman.
Thank you, Chair. I've actually been reading District Councillor Andrew Adams's comments. It's quite interesting. The fact that the storage unit is way up to the top of the site, and they now want to move it down to the south, and we're talking about severe flooding, which I'm dealing with in my division at the moment. And I don't know, is this a good idea? Why are they moving it? Why are they moving it to an area where it's actually caused great concern with regard to the road? He states here that the county had to conduct emergency repairs because a crater appeared in the road. So why are we doing this?
Helen.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, through you. We've got to remember that the current situation on the site where there is flooding, and that's recognised on the site and onto the highway. As part of the development proposals, there has to be betterment included, so that situation has to be dealt with. Whether the implementation of this scheme, should it be approved this evening, or the previous scheme, they will have to do that. That has to be addressed, and the LLFA have been involved in that process. And again, we have to be mindful of the backdrop of there is an approved appeal on the site, so there's an extant permission. But the point is, it will be increased in terms of betterment than what's there at the moment and improved. The movement of the connection point in the substation is just because it's a better connection point and they don't need that arm at the top that you can see on the plan, the northern point. Councillor Adams does mention BESS units. There are no BESS units on this site, to be clear. It's just the substation that's being relocated. There never was proposal for there to be a BESS incorporated into this. So yeah, it's just to say really there will be a betterment as a result of the development in terms of floods, and that's been assessed by the LLFA. Thank you, Chair.
You happy with that? Well, do you want to come back? No.
Sorry, Helen. I do have concerns with this. It's if the flooding is going to make matters worse on the road, then as a county councillor, I'm looking at it from that point of view. We're struggling as it is. So convinced. Sorry, Helen.
Thank you. So,
Did you want to comment?
Only to say that if the runoff is from the site onto the roads, which often you do get that when it comes to this kind of arrangement on agricultural fields, that will be addressed because it would be contained within the site, so therefore it wouldn't then run off onto the road. So hopefully the betterment associated with the drainage strategy would be better for the site, including the drainage onto the road. Thank you, Chair.
thank you. Any more speakers? No. In that case, then I'm going to the vote. The recommendation is for approval. All those in favour of approval, please show.
Please.
14. Any against? 1. And any abstentions? None. So it's 14 for, 1 against. That application is approved. Thank you. Therefore, we come to item 5, which is the report of the development manager, team manager. Helen.
Thank you, Chair. Just by way of update this month, you will note that there's quite a few appeal decisions that I've reported. They have been reported in a kind of a shorter fashion because there was an awful lot to go through, but the appendix does include all of the decisions. Did you want to read them in full, or happy to take any queries on any specific applications? But in terms of other matters associated with the service, we have returned the representations on the National Planning Policy Framework, which is obviously out to consultation. So that's gone back. And thank you to those members who attended the session. I thought that was really helpful. We are currently out to recruitment with our planning officer vacancy at grad and assistant level. That's due to run for another couple of weeks. It's fair to say there's been a lot of interest, so we're hopeful that we can recruit to that post. And just to say that in point 6 of the monthly stats, you'll notice that the percentage of applications decided in time is still at an incredibly high level, and that's credit to the officers who are working through increased numbers of applications at the moment. A lot of digital improvement and service improvement has gone a long way to make sure that those processes are running smoothly. But other to that, Chair, I don't intend to go through any of the applications unless members want to discuss them directly. Thank you for that.
Members? Councillor Kelly.
I'd just like to, through the council, praise all the officers because there's one case that could have had cost levied against us, and we got that rescinded, which I'm going to say well done to the officers.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. I'll be allowed to the case officer. That's really good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. Any more comments before I close the meeting? Councillor Evans.
Yes, thank you for the report, Helena. I'd like to echo Councillor Kelly's comments about all the work that's gone into all the appeals. Just a quick question. You were saying there's an increase in applications and digital improvements to the processes. Are you finding that AI is becoming more involved in the planning process?
I'll start and then Kelly can jump in if she wants to add anything. Yes, is the short answer from kind of both sides of the fence. From a local planning authority perspective, you know, there's facilities that we've brought in to streamline the process. Some of that involves basic AI processes. What we are finding at the moment, though, is the use of AI for submission of objection letters, and we're getting a real increase in that. And they're very lengthy, they're very detailed, and obviously they need to be processed manually by the case officers, because ultimately planning judgment is exactly that. It's assessing all of the information and making sure that a balance is struck. So the difficulty we're finding is there's a lot of inaccuracies in them, quoting legislation that either doesn't exist, or if it does, it's not relevant, or the wrong parts of it. So we have to be certain that obviously if we're assessing it and applying it back, it's accurate. So it's a time-consuming effort at the moment, I would say, on behalf of objection letters being received with the use of AI. Is that fair to say?
It is a hot topic. It's a frustrating topic because we can see AI, this software, you can actually put things through and go, how much of this was done by AI, and it comes up and tells you. There are tells, certain words, dashes, things like that that you know. We have to take everyone at face value. So what we are, as Helen said, we are summarising them where we can. We are looking at additional software because this is becoming a real issue. Some of the applications, I'm conscious we're in the public part of this meeting. I know we're going into a closed conversation later, but I'm happy to go into more detail. But some of the big ones, you can see that there's a thread of AI. And as Helen said, it is very time consuming when legislation that doesn't exist is quoted, that sends us down wormholes, trying to find things that don't exist. So it has its benefits, it absolutely does. It is an increasing challenge, not just for South Staffordshire, for the country. I know this is something that's nationally being picked up by the Royal Town Planning Institute, and how do we deal with it? We are actually also looking at putting ourselves forward for a pilot to use AI to summarise representations to both the local plan and also to planning applications. I know Greater Cambridgeshire had something like 15,000 representations to their local plan. and they were summarised in 16 minutes with the software that's coming out. So we need to kind of keep on ahead of the game. We're quite good in South Staffordshire with our digital agenda. We are a pilot for many things and have brought in a lot. This is one we really want to be a pilot for because it would create so much capacity, but watch this space on that.
Just to make something crystal clear, if we do receive an objection and it is generated through AI, we still give it full consideration, and the material considerations are still summarised within the report and given full consideration. So just to be clear, we don't dismiss them. It's just more time consuming for us to be able to understand the narrative. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. I'm going to close the meeting, so I'm closing it officially, but can members remain, because I want to go through a question and answer that we've done in previous sessions. So thank you very much for understanding that. No need to rush, okay, we can wait.